Yo, the third intermission is back on the air. A two-man show today. It is your boy Avery here, filling in for the king himself, Dave. I got Troy with me in the cut, doing a bit of a shorter show, but we're going to get into some fun topics, some important topics here in the hockey world. We got PWHL talk, we got Leafs talk, we got Team Canada talk, we got some Arizona Coyotes talk when it comes to the arena. We got Team Canada 2026 talk, a bunch of things to get into here on the third intermission coming up. Troy, how you doing tonight? How are things, bud?
Things are good. Things are good. Uh, the end of March break, so kids are back to school next week, and I'm quite happy about that. How are things with you?
Hey, I'm doing okay, man. Just recovering from curling for the first time in about 12 years. I know we talked about why our experience with curling. I know you mentioned a story off air about how why you hate curling, but rightfully so. Oh, and it was quite the adventure you told.
Yeah, yeah. No, I wasn't too happy about getting my knee blown off about what is it, like an 80-pound granite stone blowing out your left kneecap, and your gym teacher not doing anything about it. Yeah, those were fun times. I hope I never see a curling rink ever again in my life.
Right. Oh, anyways, of course, this is a Leafs heavy show, so we'll jump into that here. Leafs 6-3-1 in their past 10 games. They did lose to Carolina in their last game in a shootout at the time of this taping, 5-4. And also, they debuted a new twist on their Toronto St. Patrick's jerseys. And over the years, with the St. Patrick's jerseys, I've been a big fan of them in ways attempting to be similar to what they wore in the 20s. And this jersey had more of a modern take on them with a St. Patrick's Day shamrock on the front of it. Now, the colors of the jersey, I've always been a fan of, but the shamrock, I'm not the biggest guy of the shamrock. I would have loved to have seen them keep that just more to what was worn on the front of the jerseys some 80, 85 years ago. But sure, what are your thoughts on the Shamrock jersey, along with the Leafs being 6-3-1 the last 10?
Well, I'll start with the how the Leafs have been. I thought they've been doing pretty well. I mean, there's been some blips here and there, some brain cramps along the way. But the main thing is they're getting points. Doesn't matter how you get them, just as long as you get them. I am kind of concerned about the defense a little bit because there have been times where they've left the goaltending out to dry. Sometimes they make better doors and windows because there's been a few games where the goalies can't see anything because they're staring directly into the back of one of their teammates' numbers. Um, but they're on a good run. They shouldn't feel too discouraged. It definitely sucks that we'll be playing either Boston or Florida if the playoffs were to start today. But I don't make the rules. In terms of the jersey, I I think they were okay. I mean, I would have loved to have just seen the Shamrock as the main logo. Um, I do like the previous version where they paid more of a homage to more of the original St. Pat jersey with the darker green and the brown pants. Um, Maybe the jersey just should have been all green with a white Shamrock. I thought that would have been cool.
Hmm.
Other than that, I didn't think they were too bad. I mean, it's St. Patrick's Day. There's only so many things you can do with it, right? So
Yeah,
that's
no,
what I. That's what I
yeah, no, it's true. With St. Patrick, you can do too many different things. But I've said it before a long time. What I would love to see, I know it's always the St. Patrick's Day game or the Kids Day where these jerseys come out, and the Leafs are always playing, or in large part playing a lot of the time, Carolina. I just want one game, Carolina, to wear their away Hartford Whalers jerseys. Like I have a lot of disdain for black jerseys, but it's like, come on, let's lean into this being an all green game and break out the Hartford Whaler away green jerseys against St. Patrick's Day jerseys at least.
I was thinking the exact same thing. I was truly disappointed when they didn't come out in those Hartford Whalers jerseys because the pregame thing had the Hartford Whalers logo all over it. So I'm like, all right, they're gonna do it. They're gonna wear the Hartford Whalers jersey. and they come out in the black one, and I'm like, this sucks. Like, give us what we want. We
right?
want to see the heart. We want to see the best logo in sports. Give us what we want.
Like, I'm sure,
That
like
the piece of meme where you're screaming at Triple H, give me what we want.
like I'm sure the NHL is probably gonna say they can't do that due to there's probably a reason with contrast to why they can't have two teams wearing those heavy green like where I know the Leafs are in white. I know it's white and white, but I'm sure there's a reason why they're probably gonna say why they couldn't wear those green jerseys all as well. But I don't know. I feel like there's a way to get around it where we could have the white St. Patrick's Day and the green Whaler jerseys. I mean, and this is me
Who is
just
this?
being a like, and this me being a hater
You
of the.
can
Go ahead, Troy.
you can be a hater all you want, but the thing is, they can't say nothing about the color contrast, no none of that bullshit. Because how do you explain the digital board? That's a problem
Yeah,
that they don't want to address, but apparently they don't want colors to clash. All right,
like, but
explain that
it's
to the viewers around the world watching who get triggered whenever they watch an NHL.
oh man, but it's just too bad because, like I said, like I just hate the Carolina Black jerseys. I hate them. I hate them. I hate them. I think Carolina Black jerseys are unoriginal. They're boring. And people have already said that I know the Hurricanes are considering a brand change. Like to me, the Carolina Hurricanes just drop black. I hate they've got some of the most outside of their OG jerseys, the Hurricane uniforms, and I know we may have some listeners in North Carolina or in Raleigh, but I'm sorry. The Hurricanes brand needs a refresh because I'm just not a fan of how they look right now. I don't like the Stormfly jerseys. I don't like the black uniforms. I really felt that when they were in the peak bunch of jerks era, their white jerseys should have been jerks on the front and not canes. That's very unoriginal. They should have leaned into the jerks thing and made a jerks jersey, Troy.
Yes, and you know what? I think they should have probably taken the page out of um, the Major League farm teams book because all of their teams they have like alternate ego names for their teams. Like there's one team called the Chancellor, where like and their logo is a slipper. That's pretty dope, and it would go hand in hand with what you're saying, where it's like their persona could be the jerk. And you have maybe like an image of like a bully or like Razor Ramon or something on the front,
Mm.
of and I think all the teams should do that, have like an alter ego jersey. I think that would be awesome. But I mean, Fanatics would definitely screw it up. But I mean, I think it would be an awesome concept to kind of lean into, just like you said.
Yeah, no, it would definitely be. I mean, I think that bunch of jerks thing. Time has passed, but it's like Carolina's got to upgrade something. It's a very right now they got a very tired look. I think for jerseys, and I think they can do a little bit better with what they have, but it is what it is. And in the Leafs record, 6-3-1. I know they lost to Carolina, beat Philadelphia, and seeing that Philadelphia game, Troy. I I'm just chuckling at how we still have coaches who get mad over teams putting out their top power play or what they do, and as we saw when the Leafs beat Philadelphia, acting head coach Rocky Thompson, who was filling in for John Tortorella, who was serving his 2-game suspension, was mad at the Leafs bench for them sending out their top power play unit late. Now, could they have played PP2? Probably. At the same time, though, again, this is pro sports. This is trying to score again. We're not talking about bantam hockey, pee wee hockey. This is the NHL. And I just get so frustrated when teams get mad at opposing teams for trying, Troy. It's silly to me.
See, it's hard to be mad at it because I mean, like just a few weeks ago, us as Leaf fans were mad about the Ridley Greig thing with how he scored the goal into the empty net. So it's hard to make a case when that shit's out there. But I mean, what do you say other than play better? And this doesn't happen. I mean, it's the same thing with the Ridley Greig situation. Play better, and that shit doesn't happen. Um, Could they have put out PT2? Yes, absolutely. But I mean, it's a game of chance, and you don't want to leave anything on the table. You want to try to get as many points as you can in regulation, no matter the score, because no lead is safe in the NHL. We've seen this time and time again. I mean, yes, obviously some games are going to be blowouts, and you're never going to see somebody mount a comeback. But in today's NHL, you can never say never. Um, I don't necessarily have a problem with it. I mean, it is what it is. Like you said, it's pro sport. You just got to deal with it. If you have a problem that bad, tell your homeboys, listen, turn up next time. Don't
Yeah.
leave me hanging like
No, I just thought it was really silly, and especially coming from Rocky Thompson, someone who has a reputation, who was one of the most feared fighters in the minors back in the 90s and 2000s. He had a reputation of being one of the toughest guys in all of hockey, and the fact that he was showing anger and getting pissed about this, like, come on! Of all the guys, Rocky Thompson, one of the all-time enforcers, getting mad about this little thing, like, come on, dude, move on. Keep it moving. This isn't a big deal to cause a big stink about in game 68. Who cares?
his anger was definitely misdirected for sure. I don't think anyone gave him the memo on what to say to the media before they're like, "Here, you got to do this for 2 games."
Like
It's almost like he's never watched the torch presser.
like
Like,
it
don't be afraid to blame your own team sometimes.
no, like it's dumb. Like, I don't know what he's gonna accomplish by glaring at the Leafs bench. Like, I just thought it was just be absolutely beyond silly in that situation. And going from the Leafs over to PWHL, and PWHL Toronto, they've won 10 straight games. They're on fire. And of course, this past week here, the PWHL had incredible games over the past weekend here. They had set more attendance records. They set an attendance record in Detroit for the US record. And, again, I'm just loving the fact that the games, again, can go to NHL sized rinks and have 12,000, 13,000 fans. I know when we had Ottawa taking on Boston in Detroit, and Toronto, Montreal played in Pittsburgh. Ottawa and Boston set a record for attendance, 13,736. Went to Little Caesars for the PWHL Takeover weekend, the largest crowd for women's pro hockey in America. And I just find it silly again when people say, "Oh, well, they didn't fill half the arena. It wasn't enough." Like, God, shut up already. You I don't get what you gain. I don't get what you gain by degrading women's hockey. You must get tired of that. Like, have you no life? Like, no one's gonna watch you do. No one, and these are from guys who will never get 13,000 people to watch them do anything in their lives, who are complaining about this stuff. But I thought that was amazing to see again, that you had that many fans again coming into an NHL arena, and with the crowd with the attention that we saw for the game this weekend in Detroit and Pittsburgh, Troy, from my perspective, how do you not seriously consider these two markets to be the expansion franchise for the PWHL come, hopefully, if not next year, 2026 at the earliest, and if not 2025.
I definitely think expansion would be good because there's lots of good women's hockey out there. I mean, I want to see more for sure. All these people that are haters, to them, I say keep hating because the more you hate, it's gonna force other people to take a look at what you're seeing. So that's gonna bring more eyes to the product. Will they agree or disagree? I don't really know, but keep on hating because it's just gonna keep bringing more eyes to the product. As to those who currently enjoy the product, keep watching. Um, and if we keep watching, it means expansion. And then we're gonna see more women's hockey, and we're gonna see more great hockey. Especially with the jailbreak rule. I mean, like you want to see more teams be able to do it, right? I do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, exactly. And this is a league that's come out of the gate. They've innovated. They've had great matchups. I mentioned off the top there with the top I mentioned, PWHL Toronto has won 10 games in a row. They sit on top of the on top of the standings here. Minnesota's behind them with 33 points. Montreal 30, Boston 22, Ottawa 21. Toronto's on top due to wins. Toronto is at 12-5. Minnesota is at 11-4-3. So you're getting to see that tight between the top four teams right now. Sorry, I would say more Toronto, Minnesota, Montreal. There's a gap of only 3 points. Boston's holding down number 4 spot at 20 with 22. Ottawa is right there at 21, and even though New York is at the bottom of the league, New York is at 17 points. You win a couple of games, you in New York, you're right back in the playoff hunt, tracking down Boston and Ottawa. So remember, 3 points for a win in the PWHL. So no one's truly out of it just yet, as Minnesota, Montreal have played 18 games. Rest of the league has only played 17 games. So the playoff race is gonna be fun to watch. It's really gonna be fun to watch. And Troy mentioned in our show notes just how tight things have been when it comes to the stats here. And like I mentioned there, no one's pulling away fully yet. There's no runaway team per se yet. I mentioned goaltending. No team's goal differential is higher than +9 or lower than -6. I think that's really cool to see, Troy.
Oh, absolutely. The women are putting on a show. I mean, would we like to see more goals? Kind of yes, but I mean, like like you want to see good saves. Like you want to see goalies that are able to stand on their head, steal a game. Especially with the scores being as tight as they are. You know, every as much as every goal counts, every save counts too. And these women are showcasing their skills. They're showing why, like, you know, they're the top of top. You know, why they were chosen by their team to, you know, to help get these W's and get these points on the board. I think it's phenomenal that these women are doing such a great job in, you know, in one of the best things I've seen in a long time. Um, I would love to see the women goaltenders play a part in the next All Star game, whenever that is. You know, I think we definitely need to incorporate the women into the men's game, so that way they don't feel like the side chick, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like make sure that you know that they get their share of the spotlight too. Much like and kind of turn it into a wrestling reference. Make it you know give Bailey her shine because she's part of the show too. You
Mm-hmm.
know, like don't forget about that.
You mentioned, you mentioned men giving them their shine. We know we saw the showcase game at the All-Star game. I would love to see in the actual NHL All-Star game tournament. I would see a team PWHL taking part. Add a fifth team where you have the team PWHL take for the All-Star game when it does return in a couple of years, because there is no All-Star game happening next year. It's being replaced by the Four Nations face-off. So you never know. We'll see. And of course, stats. Alex Carpenter is still on top of the PWHL lead, 18 points. Natalie Spooner right behind her at 17. Marie-Philippe Poulin with 17 points. Natalie Spooner leading the way in goals with 12 points. Alex Carpenter with 10 assists. So right now, you're seeing the points battle right now in the PDOP. It's a race right now between Alex Carpenter of New York, Natalie Spooner of Toronto, and Marie-Philippe Poulin of Montreal with 17. So we don't know. We have no clear view yet, Troy, in terms of who's going to be our points leader when it's all said and done come to spring here.
No, and I like it because I mean anybody can win, right? So you can't really say that one person's got it on lock when everything's so close. So it'll come down to the end, and can't wait to see who wins.
No, exactly. Again, so playoffs starting pretty soon here, 24 game season. And I know we have the gold plan. It's funny because we have that gold plan for teams who are out of the playoffs who can pick up points, but no one's fallen off yet in which a team is going to be knocked out and they're going to be chasing playoff draft points opposed to chasing a playoff spot yet. Like Ottawa, New York are thinking still we can chase Boston for a playoff spot. There's no one thinking yet in the league, okay, our season is over. We're trying to get points for the number 1 pick in next year's draft. That's how tight things are still when it comes to the playoff spot, because I mentioned right there earlier, New York can still track down Boston. Ottawa is still 1 point back. So I like that.
Yeah, I love that all the teams are of that mindset of that scene in Dumb and Dumber where Jim Carrey's like, "So you think I have a chance?" Like they are not even thinking about tanking, for the lack of a better word. Um, they're all in, and they're just like fucking write it out to the end and see what happens. Nobody's thinking about trying to improve our draft position or nothing like that. Like we've said, it's a new league. Everybody's hungry. Everybody's competitive, and it's gonna stay that way right to the end. I think, like, while I understand and I like the goal plan, um, yeah, like we're just not gonna see teams throwing in the towel quite yet. Like you're just, and again, with these games being so close in scores, anything can happen, right? So like well, one team might say, okay, well, fine, fuck it, let's go for these bonus points. But then next, and then this is even before like they're officially eliminated, and all of a sudden they just start racking up the W's, and it's like, oh shit, I don't need to do all this. Like I'm in, So like again, with all these close scores and everything, like it's gonna go right to the end. So I mean, like we're probably not gonna see who's getting all these bonus points until like I say maybe the last 2 or 3 games.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, and I think like tanking isn't even like you mentioned the word tanking, trying it. That's thing word which I wouldn't even that's not even a word in which league is really even going to use because we with the bonus points, it's literally impossible to tank when the league has set it up so that if you want the first overall pick, you have to keep trying to win. They've done it in a way in which tanking isn't a thing, and because that's a very radical thing to do in hockey. But either way, I think your mentality does change a little bit. Like you mentioned, considering you're chasing the pick as opposed to a playoff spot. But either way, it's fun to watch. But I do want to see how it's going to grow. Of course, this league is not going to be a 6-team league forever. So I do want to see how this rule is going to evolve when the league gets to 8 teams, 10 teams, 12 teams, 14 teams. Where it's more than 2 teams facing elimination, I wonder what's going to be tweaked going forward in 3, 4, 5 years.
Yeah, I mean they're definitely gonna have to take a look at it and see what's working and what's not. Um, they're gonna have to give it a few seasons so that way they have some kind of metric to work with.
Mhm.
And yeah, they're just gonna have to do that and go from there, really. 'Cause, I mean, it's the same thing with when different leagues try these rule changes. You got to try it out a little bit first before you figure out what the tweaks need to be, and then re-implement it, right? So
Mhm.
we'll see what happens. Um, yeah, they just need the numbers to do it. This is the first season, so we'll be just as surprised as everyone to see how everything works.
No, exactly. But either way, it'll be a fun end to the PW. It'll be a fun end to the season as we approach the end of the regular season in the PWHL. And moving on from the PW to back to the NHL for a second here, and the Arizona Coyotes. We know the Coyotes are in discussions in a land auction to acquire land for a new arena in North Phoenix, and the Arizona State Land Department of Boards unanimously approved a $68.5 million appraisal for a 95-acre plot of land in North Phoenix, clearing the way for the Coyotes to bid on it. That price will be a starting point in the auction, and it must be advertised for 10 weeks beforehand. And we have heard that if Arizona does not win the auction, then relocation will be on the table. Now, the priority is, of course, the auction and Arizona winning that because, again, that is a priority number one for the NHL, NHLPA, Alex Morello, everybody involved, that the team stays in Arizona, that the team stays in the area because anybody knows the league would much rather expand and get expansion fees from a new team, be it in Houston, Salt Lake City, or wherever else, than relocation. But if that were to fail, then relocation, yes, would be on the table. So we would have to see what the plan B would be and timeline would be. I know there's still the lease agreement on Malt Arena for next season. So a lot of moving parts, Troy, when it comes to the Coyotes, and for all parties involved, the number one goal is seeing the Coyotes win the auction, because if they don't win the auction, well, then things become a lot more complicated for the future in Arizona.
Most definitely. For as much as I rag on the franchise, you never really want to see a team leave. But I mean, like in this case, like how much? It's like every other season, it comes up that they might be on the move. Um, it might be time to just let the franchise die already. I mean, there's clearly some kind of issue going on where nobody wants to take ownership of an NHL team. I don't get it. I mean, like there are tons of other cities that are viable markets where you'll get the exposure, you'll get the fan base, you'll get the support to make an NHL team last. I don't know exactly what's happening in Phoenix as to why like they keep bouncing around like a redheaded stepchild. But something needs to be done. I mean, yes, they, like they've put boots to the ground. They've got initiatives and stuff all over Phoenix, which is great. But at the same time, ownership isn't showing them the same love that the community is, and that's the disappointing part. And because of that, Phoenix might be on the move if they don't win this auction.
Now, this is a franchise that just needs stable ownership. Like I've not been a fan of Alex Morello at times ghosting people in terms of what is going to happen. He's been notorious as of late for not letting the NHL, NHLPA know what's going on, or he had. And also too, you talk to a couple of people who cover the Coyotes. Alex Morello hasn't let people on his staff know promptly what's going on. Like I think if you're ownership, if you're Alex Morello, you need to be a little bit more prompt in terms of communications with the people who need to know what's plan B, what's plan C. That does concern me. That does concern me in terms of how he's lacked communication with important people in this matter. So I know it's going to take some time to resolve all of this, but I mean, hopefully it sounds like hopefully they win the auction. I would imagine they win the auction. An arena is going to be built in North Phoenix within the next 18 to 24 months. I saw some people on Twitter who really didn't like. One thing I thought was silly, Troy, was people were saying on Twitter were saying, oh, if they win the auction, does that mean the arena is going to be built in another 5-10 years? Well, no. Like, how long do you think it takes to build an arena now in 2024? If they if they win the auction, say they win the auction, that arena is getting built, and which has been the plan the entire time, to have an arena built by 2026, 2027. I don't know why people assume it's gonna be another 10 years. When they have said the entire time they want to have a new arena built by 2026, 2027. Where you getting this idea that they're not gonna be done until 2036? That makes no sense.
They must think it's the same people doing Eglinton West over here. That's responsible for building that arena. Because if it is, then they'd have a valid point.
Oh my it's Mancio. 2036, they might not move until 2056. So that's like they're the ones in charge of building an arena. Cause I don't know how a train I don't know how you can be that many years late on building tracks. Cause that part of Toronto got to be done. I whenever
Yeah.
whenever I'm in Toronto, whenever I'm in that part of the city, and I see the transit is still not done yet, it's like, that's embarrassing. Y'all should have been done this in 2011, Troy?
People have started and finished high school, college, and university, and the shit still ain't done.
That's that's embarrassing. That's the only reason why Cody's Arena would take 10 more years. Yeah, you're right. If these guys were in charge of building arena in Phoenix, then I understand why it's going to take 10 more years to get it built. That would make perfect sense.
Yeah. Yeah, but like no logical person can't sit here and be like these guys don't already have blueprints and shit, hundreds of them already drawn out,
Right.
waiting for it to be okay if they win this land auction. Like nobody does that. Nobody with that much at stake is gonna sit around and be like, okay, well, let's wait until we see if we win it to start drawing shit up.
Yeah,
No, you want to be able to get an NHL ready building as soon as possible. Like you want to be quick like McDonald's when they want to put a new one up. You gotta be like boom, 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 and all of a sudden it's up.
no, exactly. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
like they they win this. Shovels are going in the ground as soon as possible. Like people were saying that, yeah, it'll take delayed. Like, yo, you like it's like you do not know timelines. Like, yo, I don't know how you know. You must have been late for school every single day with your time planning. Like,
That one person who never does anything with their clock for daylight savings time.
right?
They just leave them.
Oh, that is absurd. But yeah, well, yeah. So we're gonna keep an eye on this, and it's thing in which it's I think we are approaching the end of I wouldn't say the Coyotes in Arizona. We're approaching the end of this saga in terms of will they or won't they? Will it happen? Will it not? Because as much as yes, I have been very much on the side of the Coyotes and them staying in Arizona because I do believe in that market. It's the Phoenix area is one of the largest ones in America, and you want to keep that market in your league. But there is going to be a time in which if things don't get done and this auction fails, I don't see the league wanting. I do see again. We see Marty Walsh express his concerns. I do think that the league will start to look more towards relocation. They will look at it more with the Heat being faced by other people. So I gotta see
Well,
how
they're
it
gonna
turns
have to. They're not gonna have a choice. They're gonna have to at that point.
out. And yeah, and we've seen Utah Jazz owner Ryan Smith put his request in to get a franchise in Utah. We know about Houston, and I know they're new. Well, I guess newish. We've heard the rumors for quite a while now. But Atlanta is now in the mix with with the group involved with Anson Carter, who formally expressed their desire to get a franchise in Alpharetta, the suburb of Atlanta. So you've got people who want a team, be it Salt Lake, be it Houston, be it a third try in Atlanta, Georgia. So we'll see because there are markets, and even earlier, even last month, we heard about Cincinnati, which to me was a big shock. Like, where did you come from? I haven't heard you in this talk of expansion in at all. So we need to see what happens there, Troy.
Yeah. I can't see Cincinnati getting anything. I can see them taking a close look at Houston, and they might sneak a peek at Atlanta, see what's happening up there.
But I mean I do like Atlanta. That's gonna be a thing which seeing where that team is going to play if they do get a team, it's going to be out in suburbs. And the big thing is that transit isn't really running that well in suburban Atlanta in the Alpharetta area. So like they're going to have to make it more accessible to fans. I mean, we discussed it before when it came to the Virginia plan with the Capitals and Wizards that failed. You're gonna have to make it more accessible to your fan base who is going to be there. That is one thing I want to see the Atlanta group address. I want to see Georgia address when it comes to getting a team there. And I'm sure Anson Carter know. I'm sure Anson knows that. I'm sure Anson knows that accessibility is going to be a huge thing to making this work for an Atlanta franchise. But I am glad that he's involved because he lives down there. He's been very in touch with the Atlanta hockey market for a very long time. He's a very smart guy. So I admit, I do hope I am rooting for Anson to get this team in Atlanta one way or another, Troy.
Yeah, all the best to them. It would be nice to see something different. If Atlanta does get a franchise, hopefully they don't revert to that logo. I want to see more logos that kind of reflect the city or something like that, maybe. 'Cause I
Mm.
mean, like when you look at the Thrashers, it's like what is a Thrasher? Like I immediately think of like the Tasmanian Devil when I hear Thrasher, but it was a bird over
Yeah.
the hockey. But we'll have to see. We'll see if Atlanta gets another shot. Um, hey, as long as they figure out this Phoenix thing soon, like they got to do something. There
No.
it can only be so much, and like you got to think of like the players and shit too, right? Because it's like they got to know sooner or later if they got to uproot their family and move somewhere else.
Hmm. Yeah, and they're gonna have to figure that part out, and of course PA is gonna be involved in that. And the Thrasher, what I like the Thrasher. Thrasher is actually a state bird in Georgia, the Brown Thrasher. So I didn't mind. I like the name and the brand identity of what they had. So we'll have things up here on a goalie discussion here. DeMarc-Andre Fleury got to 75 shutouts in his career. Surefire Hall of Famer. That man is going to Toronto. That man's going to be in Toronto in Hockey Hall of Fame one day. He is going to be. He's going to be there. Now, I look at this record. Actually, sorry, I lied. We have two. After this, we'll get to the Olympic talk quickly. But Marc-Andre Fleury had 75 shutouts. I just don't know who's gonna get to Martin Berdeur's 125. Sure, you mentioned Jonathan Quick's at 60, but he's 38 years old. Carey Price at 49, but Carey Price, for all intents and purposes, is pretty much retired now due to his knee problems. Sergei Bobrovsky is at 42, and that's just a record of being consistent for so long, but also having a team in front of you that is that good defensively, where you can put up that many shutouts. Because Brodeur played, Martin Brodeur was a character of that. He was someone who came from an era and a team that as we all know, locked things down, played super defensive hockey, played boring hockey, but he made some massive saves to get wins. But again, he played on a team that was super defensive under Jacques Lemaire for the most part. And I don't know if any of the teams that play like that, in which you're going to grind down that many wins to allow goalies to get that many shutouts day in, day out. I know some listening right now might suggest maybe eventually, maybe some might suggest I could see someone suggesting, I could see Jordan Binnington doing that. No, I couldn't see Binnington doing that. I could see some suggesting Vasilevsky, but I think 1 in 25 is just too tough to get to. Troy, what do you think?
Oh, nobody's touching 125. Not anytime soon, because the eras are different now.
Yeah.
There's so much different because when Brodeur played, it was more clogged in the middle. The
Hmm.
two lines took away a lot of the open ice. They didn't have the trapezoid. You still had ties and shit like that back then. It was more designed around big thugs on skates looking for dudes with their head down, cutting across the middle of the ice. These days, there's more open space. The game's more about speed and skill than it is about being big and broad. Um, you know, so you're not like while you are going to see some more defensive-minded teams that will help their goalies get the shutout, you're not going to see any one goalie get close to 125. That's going to be one of those records that will stand the test of time. I mean, you might get 125 team shutout,
Yeah.
but as an individual, no, that's it's never being done.
No, like it's like a player getting to 200 points, or it's like a player surpassing 10 points in a game. Like I just don't see how it's gonna happen in this era of hockey, no matter what goaltender. And maybe down the road, maybe in 5, 10, 15 years, we get another Brodeur type goaltender or another team that does play super defensive hockey and things are changed. But I just don't see right now. And again, we mentioned guys like Fleury, Jonathan Quick. These are guys who are pushing retirement. These are guys who are going to get 30 more shutouts or 40 more shutouts. The clock is ticking on Fleury and Quick too. Like this is not gonna happen for them, but maybe down the road we get some supernova goalie who comes out of the gate hot and threatens that record. But in the next couple of years, I don't see it, Troy.
Yeah, no, never. I mean, the only way you'll see that is like in a 2K
Yeah.
game.
Yeah, like that's literally not. Yeah, I just don't see it outside of yeah, NHL 24. I really don't see that being possible whatsoever. And our actual last topic, sorry gang, is a little discussion on Team Canada 2026. We know the Doug Armstrong is going to be the GM. Ryan Getzlaf is going to be the player advisor for Team Canada 2026. And now we've seen so many projections in terms of who's going to be in net, who's going to be the captain. I've seen Sidney Crosby captain. I've seen Connor McDavid captain. In terms of locks in my mind, I know it's still a couple of years away from Italy. In terms of locks, outside of say Sidney Crosby being a lock, I think Crosby hangs around. Outside Connor McDavid be a lock. I think for the most part, outside of those two on the roster, and say Nate McKinnon, outside of those three, I think it's really a toss up, Troy. I don't think it. We don't have clarity yet in terms of say goaltending. I personally think the three goaltenders are probably going to be my guess: Binnington, Aiden Hill, Stuart Skinner. That's my trio for goaltenders, but that could change in a year and a half. That could be altered when it comes to forwards and D-men. I mean, I think Pietrangelo is going to be on there. I think of course, we still don't know. Of course, there are still players who are suspended from Team Canada in regards to London, so we don't know yet if Cale Makar is going to be cleared to play for Team Canada because every single player, no matter if they are charged or not, is currently suspended from playing for Team Canada until further notice. So we don't know if that's going to change. Cale Makar's status as of right now, as far as we know right now, he won't be there. So this will a lot of moving parts in terms of who will be there, who won't be, Troy, beyond say a McDavid, a McKinnon, and a Crosby.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard to pick a roster for Team Canada, especially because of that whole junior thing. So you gotta limit yourself in terms of who's gonna be available. You're gonna get your McDavid, your McKinnon on the roster. Maybe even Morgan Riley. Who knows? Yet to be seen. But yeah, there's a lot of moving parts. So almost anybody can get picked. In terms of the goalies, yeah, that's probably going to be one of the more interesting decisions that they'll have to make because there are guys right now who are starting to make cases for themselves. One of them being the Montreal goalie. What's his name? Montembeault.
Yeah.
He could be in the mix. Devin Levi in Buffalo. He could be one too. But I would definitely like to see Stuart Skinner on Team Canada. I think he's proven his worth. He's shown that he's capable of being a starting NHL goalie, and he may have had a couple of blips here and there, but I mean, you know, he's done his job. I think he's earned it. So I mean, unless there's other guys out there, I think those are the guys you kind of roll with right now. I would say Binnington, but I mean, he's with the kind of temperament that he has, that's much different. And I mean, like you can't have a dude like that lose his shit in an Olympics, right? So I mean, like you want guys who are gonna be calm and cool under pressure. You don't want guys who are gonna lose their shit if they're having a bad game worse and put their team even more behind the eight ball. You want a guy who's able to move on and forget it, focus on the next day, not what somebody allegedly did.
Yeah, no, you're entirely right, Troy. It's a thing in which you want someone level-headed and calm playing in this type of tournament, especially Olympic Games. So we'll definitely see. I think we'll get our first look at what could be happening in 2026 with the Four Nations face-off. I think that'll be really our first look at what a Team Canada roster could look like in Italy, what needs to be tweaked, what needs to be altered, but it'll be fun either way to see how this shakes up because as of right now, there's so little clarity in terms of what Canada has. I mean, there's more clarity in terms of what you're going to get with the Americans, but either way, we're gonna overanalyze this far too much on this show, on other shows leading up to 2026. And hey, I'm glad. I think all of us are glad either way that we're discussing NHL players going to Olympic Games for the first time since 2014.
Yeah, it'll be good for the league, get back on track and show their skills to the world. But I mean, it's something that some of these guys look forward to, and it's something that the fans look forward to as well. So here's hoping that it'll be a fun tournament for everybody to watch, regardless of what country you cheer for.
No, exactly. All right. With that being said, the show is adjourned. That is it for the third intermission. Thank you all for allowing us to grace space in between your head top. We're back again next week. I'm Avery. And for Troy, we're out of here. Talk to you all again next week.
Later.
And drink your water.
Do it.